So we'll start our session. Yesterday we studied about the mind system, and let me give you the recap of that and give your ears to my words and try to understand. And then that will be easier to understand the text also in the book. Me or anyone has different aggregates. Aggregates. Aggregates means essential components, what we call aggregates. So every individual consists of five aggregates. First is called corporality. Corporality means the body. Corporal. Corporal, yeah, body. That is also called carnation or carnal, carnal part of our being. And second is called feelings. Every living being has feelings also. Has body. Second, feelings. And third is called perception. Perception. In Sanskrit or in Pali, corporality is called kaya, kaya, and feeling is called vedana. So kaya, vedana, every living being has. Even an ant, even a fly, even an animal, bird, even the trees also have that kind of things. So one is kaya, means body. Second is feeling, sensations. Third is perception. Perception. Perception is what you perceive. That's called perception. Perception also can be understood as what we call fathom. Fathom, fathom. So there is a word fathom, understanding, uh, how you perceive, how you see the things, view. Okay. So perception is very popular in psychology. In psychology, this word is very much popular. And this is a process by which the sensory stimulation is organized. Usual experience, senses, how you perceive through senses, right? Through your eyes, particularly. So this is called perception. And there are different synonyms of this perception word like vision, recognition, intellect, ideas, apprehension, comprehension, discrimination also. So all these are the synonyms of perception. Every being, every living being has this perception, even a plant also. That is why Buddha has given sutras, and Buddha once taught that there are five habits. If you cultivate, then you can become a Buddha. There are five habits. And one of the five habits is look through things. Look through things. Understood? Means you should not look from you, through you, but through things. When you look at an ant, just feel that I'm an ant. Become an ant. If you are looking at dog, or if you are behaving with dog, become dog. This is the way of Tao. This is the way of Buddha. This is the way of enlightened one. If you are a child, if you are behaving with child, become child. It's called look through things. So this is one of habits of Buddha. Actually, I wanted to write a very comprehensive article on this, five habits to be glorious, as taught by Buddha. Fourth is called perception in Pali is called Vijnan, Janna, And fourth is called Samskar. Samskar is called mental formations or habit energy. Mental formation or habit energy. And fifth is called consciousness. Consciousness. So everyone has these five aggregates, whether a man or any living being or celestial being, any being has these five things. Wherever there is life, there are these five things. And here we are studying mind system. And Buddha has explained what is mind, how mind works. So this is very, very advanced psychology. Psychology means science of mind and its behaviors. So here Buddha talks about the psychology which covers all the levels from inferior to superior. Okay. And from a spiritual perspective, Buddha calls that mortal mind, mortal mind or discriminating mind or inferior mind, okay, lay mind, this called, they are the terms, or lower mind system, lower mind system. And the ultimate mind is called universal mind or divine mind. Buddha never talks about God. He doesn't talk about God. Okay? But yes, he talks about the mind. Once Buddha said that there is no soul but mind, or consider the mind, thy mind as thy soul, or thy soul as thy mind. People are very confused that we have body, we have mind, we have soul. But in reality, there is no difference between mind and soul. There is no mind, there is no soul. There is mind, there is soul. So in that sense, Buddha says, since there is no mind, there is no soul. Anatta. He gave a term called anatta. Please note this. Anatta. A-N-A-T-T-A. Anatta. Anatta means anatma also. Anatma. Anatma means there is no soul. Here Buddha says there is no soul in one sense, and in other sense there is soul. So long you have these five aggregates, you are there. So every individual is made of these five aggregates, and mind has three faculties. One is called lower mind system, and the third is universal mind or divine mind, and in between these two there is one more mind. What is that? No. Intellectual mind is lower mind. Intellectual mind is lower mind. So what we call intellectual people, they are also lower people, not actually the higher people. Meghna, can you tell me?
Intuitive mind.
Yes, that is intuitive mind.
Intuitive mind.
So yesterday I had talked about this intuitive mind, and I explained to you that a guru, a master is none other than intuitive mind. Okay. A guide, a mentor is intuitive mind. But real mentor, real guru, not the fake gurus, or not the, they call themselves guru, but they worship God. They worship different deities. Yeah, if they worship different deities, but keeping that thing in view, that what are their limitations, but not just worshiping deities, but going beyond that, living in that super enlightenment, living in that super consciousness, super awareness, that what is the reality of everyone, everything. So intuitive mind is the connector. Intuitive mind is something that interacts with lower mind or intellectual people. And intuitive mind is absolutely rooted in the universal mind. Do you remember? Yesterday I talked. So intuitive mind is based on the universal mind. And intuitive mind is just a representative of universal mind, or a face of universal mind. So remember, when I say universal mind or divine mind, then they're not different. Don't think that these two are different. Universal mind, divine mind, these two are same. Okay. So in mind system, Buddha talks that There is divine mind, there is intellectual mind, or lower mind, or mortal mind, or discriminating mind, or individual mind. And between these two, there is intuitive mind. And intuitive mind is always connected with universal mind, and this behaves with lower mind system. Okay, this keeps telling, or you can say the intuitive mind is a kind of waves of the ocean, waves of the ocean. Okay, and uh, mortal mind is illusive mind, because that is mortal, and that which is mortal is non-existing and is just illusion. If you remember, you have learned about the knowledge of appearances or false imagination. All these things arise from the intellectual mind or discriminating mind. And further, you will study more about that. What is the, transcendental intelligence? Okay, and what is intellectual mind? We have understood. So transcendental intelligence will study is also not the ultimate intelligence. Okay, but yes, transcendental intelligence will enable you to be Buddha, to be truthful, to be realistic, to be an enlightened one. So Mahamati asks various questions, and Buddha, you know, uh, conclude his talk about the universal mind, lower mind, and intuitive mind with these words that turning about, turning about in the deepest state of consciousness, when that takes place in your deepest state of consciousness, turning about, then your discriminating mind or mortal mind or inferior mind is seized. Okay, and your mental habit. What is the word of mental habit in Sanskrit? Can you tell me? Perfect. That is samskara. Mental habit is translation of samskara word. So your samskara, your habit of looking at things inadvertently is absolutely overcome. By what? By taking place of turning about in your deepest state of consciousness. When you change absolutely yourself, when you do not allow any defilement to be there on the universal mind. So always remember yourself as currently, so long you are unenlightened, you are mortal mind, or you are discriminating mind, you are intellectual mind, you are, lower mind. So long you have any kind of samskara, any kind of habit, any kind of extroversion, that is called able outflowings. So long you are flowing outward, you are able. Okay. When you stop flowing outward, you are good. So non-outflowing is good, right? Non-outflowing is good, and outflowing is bad. So when you overcome outflowingness, that means that is a sign that turning about has taken place in your deepest state of consciousness, and you have overcome the mental habit or samskara of being extrovert and looking at things inadvertently, and you come in contact with intuitive mind, and you become intuitive mind. In other words, when intuitive mind arises, then all these are overcome, and you come in contact with universal, or you become universal mind. So this is up to you, whom you believe, whom you identify with. Either you can identify with Maya, or you can identify with the reality. This is up to you. Either we can be indulged in Maya, Maya means illusion or delusion, or you can live in the utmost truth. Okay. And Buddha said, until this intuitive self-realization of noble wisdom is attained, the evolving mind system will go on. This is what is called the beginning of enlightenment. Enlightenment means your intuitive mind came in force, and you comprehend everything clearly as they are. Okay, and evolving mind system is seized, and you have clear insight into the five dharmas, these three self natures, and the twofold egolessness is attained. And Buddha says, then the way will be opened to this turning about to take place, and you will attain the emancipation. Okay, and there will be no further evil or influence of the mind system to interfere with the perfect self-realization of noble wisdom. So this is our extroversion, which interferes, which creates defilement. Always remember these words of mine in Buddha: I am no more, I am just the messenger of Buddha, or messenger of the enlightenment or the noble wisdom. And also you have to become, as a competent teacher, the same one. Okay? You have to become the same messenger of noble wisdom. And you have to become intuitive mind. And intuitive mind is like gesture, like a comedian or like an actor, intuitive mind, which always keeps, or bodhisattvas. Bodhisattvas are intuitive mind. Okay. Now the transcendental intelligence, Buddha says, what constitutes transcendental intelligence? What constitutes transcendental intelligence? Buddha replies, transcendental intelligence is the inner state of self-realization of noble wisdom. Okay. Transcendental intelligence is the inner state of self-realization of noble wisdom. Noble wisdom, what is the real word or the actual word in Pali or Sanskrit? Noble wisdom? Yes. Arya Prajna. Arya Prajna, or super enlightenment, or supreme wisdom. That's called noble wisdom. So when you realize that in your inmost consciousness, that gives the birth to transcendental intelligence, and it is realized suddenly and intuitively as the turning about takes place in the deepest state of consciousness. At one hand, turning about takes place in your deepest state of consciousness, and on the other hand, intuitive mind rises, right? And transcendental intelligence neither enters nor goes on. See, remember my words. Yesterday, I told you that there is no inward going. Do you remember? So if someone says, hey, go inward and look, think, that's not actually inward. That is just false imagination that I'm going inward. What you say inward, you are visualizing. What you are visualizing? You are visualizing either mountain or the sky or your memories. And what are memories? Memories are a collection of your experiences. What you experience what? The external world. So your mind is filled with external objects. There is none of them, nothing. There is nothing which is called internal things. There is no internal things. So inside there is absolutely empty. There is no way to go inside. So that's what Buddha calls. Buddha doesn't call that. Buddha gives one word, outflowing, and he doesn't say inflowing. He says non-outflowing. Okay. And in Pali, there is an adjective word. It's called asra and anasra. Asrav and Anasrav. Please note down this word. Asrav. 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 And Anasrav is Anasrav. Anasrav. So Asrav is going out. Anasrav is when you don't go out. You become still. You become empty. Therefore, Buddha says, it neither enters nor goes out. It is like the moon seen in water. Transcendental intelligence neither subject to birth nor destruction. It has nothing to do with neither combination nor concordance. It is devoid of attachment and accumulation. It transcends all dualistic conceptions. That is why it is Advait, non-dualistic. So you have to become an incarnation, a model of Advait, non-dualistic mind, non-dualistic being. And how it happens when you transcend these dualistic conceptions. When transcendental intelligence is considered, four things must be kept in mind. Okay, four things. First is words, second meanings, third teachings, and fourth noble wisdom itself. What you call Ariprajna. Can you see? Yes. Word Ariprajna. Noble wisdom Ariprajna. Okay. So transcendental intelligence can be understood or remains in these four things: words, meanings, teachings, and noble vision itself. See, I emphasize on the words. I ask you, try to understand the meaning of word. And if you understand the meaning of word, you'll understand the teaching or the purpose of that word. And you understand the purpose of the word, you will transcend, you will leave that word, and you will remain in the meaning, what you call reality, noble wisdom. So actually, noble wisdom is beyond everything, beyond words, beyond meanings, beyond teachings, beyond everything. Buddha says words are just employed to express meaning, but they are not dependent upon discriminations and memory as cause, and upon the employment of sounds or letters by which a mutual transference of meaning is possible. Words are only symbols and may or may not clearly and fully express the meaning intended. And moreover, words may be understood quite differently from what was intended by the speaker. This is what happens mostly. People misunderstand your words. Therefore, they go astray. They go in confusion, they go nowhere actually. So you have to understand what a speaker intends to tell. And to understand that, you will have to go to that level, then only you can understand. That is why Buddha is not much interested in speaking, in explaining, because you'll misunderstand. So he says, there is perfect way, that is self-realization. Come to my level, then understand. So noble wisdom cannot be understood through words, because words are mostly misunderstood. And words are neither different nor not different from meaning. And meaning stands in the same relation to words. If meaning is different from words, it could not be made manifest by means of words. But meaning is illumined by words as things are by a lamp. So words are just a lamp, like lamp. Meaning are lamp. Okay. Words are just like a man carrying a lamp to look for his property, by which he can say, this is my property. If there is darkness, right? If there is utter darkness, if you want to see anything, your utensils, your stuff, your property, you must have light or lamp or torch. So torch is like words. But through words, you have to go there to your property. Light itself is not your property. Buddha says, so also by means of words and speech originating in discrimination, the Bodhisattva can enter into the meaning of the teaching of the Tathagatas. And through the meaning, he can enter into the exalted state of self-realization of noble wisdom, which in itself is free from word discrimination. But if a man becomes attached to the literal meaning of words and holds fast to the illusion that words and meaning are in agreement, especially in such things as nirvana, which is unborn and undying, or as to distinctions of the vehicles, the five dharma, the self natures, then he will fail to understand the true meaning and will become entangled in assertions and negations. Assertions and refutations or negations take you into the realm of discriminations, into the realm of lower mind system. And that by that you can never enter into the noble wisdom. So noble wisdom can be entered through utmost silence. Over. You have to transcend the words. So Buddha says, ignorant of nature of words which are subject to birth and death, whereas meaning is not. Words are dependent upon letters and meaning is not. Meaning is apart from existence. Meaning is apart from existence and non-existence. It has no substratum. It is unborn. Now, he says, the Tathagatas do not teach a dharma that is dependent upon letters. Anyone who teaches a doctrine that is dependent upon letters and words is mere prattler. Note this word, prattler. Okay. So if you are, ensnared by just word, or you are interested just to speech or talk, then you become prattler. Prattler is to talk or chat meaninglessly. That's called or futile talking or nonsense talking. People who talk nonsense are called prattler. So Buddha says, anyone who teaches a doctrine that is dependent upon letters and words is a mere prattler, preacher, because truth is beyond letters and words and books. So the purpose of books are nothing but to go in imageless state, in a speechless state, in emptiness. And if you go in emptiness without any help, then you don't need books, then you don't need teachings, and you don't need any sutras. Even the sutra has also the same purpose, to make you empty, to make you imageless, egoless. There are a lot to talk, a lot to understand, but just the bottom line is transcend the word. The bottom line is when there is recognition that there is nothing in the world but what is seen of the mind itself, all dualistic discriminations will be discarded, and the truth of imagelessness, note, the truth of imagelessness will be understood. Imagelessness means wordlessness, imagelessness, stufflessness. Then that will be understood. How? By transcending dualistic mind, and will be seen to be in conformity with meaning rather than with words and letters. Buddha says, the Tathagatas discourse to the ignorant, but sustain the Bodhisattvas as they seek self-realization of noble wisdom. So the Tathagatas don't teach to Bodhisattvas, but Tathagatas, they just take Bodhisattvas to the self-realization. Okay, Buddha says, Tathagatas discourse to the ignorant only, but not to the Bodhisattvas. He sustains the Bodhisattvas through self-realization. Therefore, let every disciple take good heed not to become attached to words as being in perfect conformity with meaning, because truth is not in the letters. When a man with his fingertip points to something to somebody, the fingertip may be mistaken for the thing pointed at. In the like manner, the ignorant and simple-minded, like children, are unable even to the day of their death to abandon the idea that in the fingertip of words there is nothing, there is no meaning itself. They cannot realize ultimate reality because of their intent clinging to words, which were intended to be no more than a pointing finger. So words are nothing but pointing finger. So when I say, when a finger points to the moon, the finger itself is not the moon. Okay? Moon is somewhere else. So words and teachings are just finger pointing to what? To noble wisdom, to Ariprajya, to ultimate reality. Words and their discrimination bind one to the dreary round of rebirths, into the world of birth and death. Meaning stands alone and is a guide to nirvana. Okay? Meaning only can take you to the nirvana, not the words. And what is the meaning? Meaning is just be speechless. Meaning is just transcend everything. Meaning is transcendental. Be transcendental. When you transcend it, then yes, purpose is served. Then there is no use of words. Therefore, Buddha says, meaning is attained by much learning. So you have to understand meaning by much learning. And much learning is attained by becoming convergent with meaning and not with words. Therefore, let seekers for truth reverently approach those who are wise and avoid the sticklers for particular words. So Buddha advises you must approach to the people who are really enlightened, who are really living in the ultimate reality, noble wisdom. Okay, because if you'll try to understand, comprehend the meaning just through reading, you cannot understand. There are a lot of things you cannot understand. You'll just read, but you don't understand anything. But they who live, they're living, and by being with him or her, you can feel that. That is going there, being there. Okay. So all the kathavachkas, preachers, they will go take you nowhere, just into the realm of words. Okay. Buddha says, such people, preachers, by their clever manipulation of words and phrases and various reasonings and incantations, being the mere prattle of the child, as far as one can make out, and not at all in accordance with truth, not in unison with meaning, only serves to awaken sentiment and emotion. They will make you very emotional, and you will start the tears flowing down from your eyes. You will be very sentimental, emotional. But all these things will stupefy your mind. All these things will make you stupid. Okay? So if you want to avoid stupidity, you will have to avoid the things which will stupefy your mind. And Buddha says, as he himself does not understand the meaning of all things, he only confuses the minds of his hearers with his dualistic views, not understanding himself that there is nothing but what is seen of the mind, and himself attached to the notion of self-nature in external things, and unable to know one path from another, he has no deliverance to offer others, because he himself is delusive, he himself is in darkness, he himself is blind, and his followers will go in the same pit where he will fall, he's supposed to fall. Okay, so Buddha says, thus these priests and popular preachers who are clever in various incantations and skilled in the art of eloquence, themselves never being emancipated from such calamities as birth, old age, disease, sorrow, lamentation, pain, and despair, lead the ignorant into bewilderment by means of their various words, phrases, examples, and conclusions. Okay, so people are very, oh, he's great speaker, he's influential. You become influenced and you go in the same cocoon, in the same dreary round of words and phrases and his eloquences, his oral skills. You become fan of him or her. There are a lot of motivational speakers. You become fan of them. They themselves are nowhere.
Because they are still explaining.
Exactly. They're just motivational speakers. But they are not bodhisattvas.
They are the intellectual mind.
They are intellectual mind. And if you'll go to them, they will go nowhere. So Buddha says, see, now must heed these words, the further words. Buddha says, then there are the materialistic philosophers. Motivational speakers are materialistic philosophers. Their mind always remain on the money, okay, on the marketing. They just speak loudly, boldly, with enthusiasm, with zeal. and their mind remains always on materialistic. They are external. They have not. They have outflowing, evil outflowing mind. Okay, they are philosophers. Obviously, Buddha says no respect nor service is to be shown to them. Don't show any respect to them. See, they are the words of Buddha, not mine. He says no respect nor service, even no service is to be shown to them because their teachings, though they may be explained by using hundreds or thousands of words and phrases, not go, not go beyond the concerns of this world and this body, and in the end, they lead to suffering. Ultimately, they lead to suffering. Buddha feels pity on such philosophers, expert speakers, motivational speakers, and also their fans, their people, their hearers. And Buddha says, as the materialists recognize no truth as existing by itself, they are split up into many schools, each of which clings to its own way of reasoning. So there are different thoughts of schools, schools of thoughts. Okay, and they become their followers, and they go no. So Buddha emphasizes that all these things concern worldly interest and enjoyment. They lie along the path of the philosophers, which is not the path of the dharma. This is the bottom line. Okay. All these things explained through thousands of words and phrases and ideas, thoughts, they are concerned only worldly interests and enjoyments, worldly enjoyments. They give you guarantee for success, but for what? For materialistic success, not for the truth or for the reality, but to the illusions. And they lie along the path of philosophers, which are not the path of dharma. Okay? But again, he gives hope. Buddha makes you frightened because of your, habitual, addicted, and, we have habit of such things. Then again, he gives hope that when the true egolessness of things and person is understood, discrimination ceases to assert itself, the lower mind system ceases to function, the various bodhisattva stages are followed one after another. The bodhisattva is able to utter his 10 inexhaustible vows and is anointed by all the Buddhas. When you become bodhisattvas, Buddhas anoint you, anoint, bless you, massage you, anoint means massage, and patting you. Well done. Okay, and the bodhisattva becomes master of himself and of all things by virtue of a life of a spontaneous and radiant effortlessness. Then things become effortless, and you become very spontaneous. Virtue of a life of a spontaneity and radiant effortlessness. Thus, the dharma, which is transcendental intelligence, transcends all discriminations, all false reasonings, all philosophical systems, and all dualisms. So that is called transcendental intelligence. So transcendental intelligence means that intelligence which has transcended what? Everything. That has transcended all the dualistic views. That is why there is transcendental intelligence. And you cannot go there by chanting, by mantras, or by thinking, by imaginations, by visualizations, but by transcending all these lower mind system faculties. Okay. Then Mahamati asked to the Blessed One that in the scriptures, mention is made of the womb of the Tathagatahood. And it is taught that which is born of it is by nature bright and pure, originally unspotted and endowed with the 32 marks of excellence. As it is described, it is a precious gem, but wrapped in a dirty garment, soiled by greed, anger, and folly, and false imagination. We are taught that this Buddha nature, even in everyone, is eternal, unchanging, and auspicious. Is not this which is born of the womb of Tathagathood, the same as the soul substance that is taught by the philosophers? The divine Atman, as taught by them, is also claimed to be eternal, inscrutable, unchanging, and imperishable. Is there or is there not a difference? Okay. So here, Mahamati asks that the concept of Atma, the concept of Atma or the soul is the same thing as yours concept of Nirvana or the Tathagathood. Okay, so you should not misunderstand that Tathagathood or Tathata or Nirvana is same as the God concept or the soul concept. Okay, so he has asked this thing, and if you really reach the Tathagathood, then you have reached the source of all the miracles. Do you remember, Rishabh? You are interested in spiritual healing. I had told you, I'll take you to that source of healing from where all healings arise. If you go there, yeah, when you go there, you become super healer. So you have to become super healer, not the inferior healer, right? Super healer, super guide, super leader. How? By understanding these teachings, by applying these teachings in your life. Then you will see that you are transforming yourself at lightning speed. Just you have to have firm faith in these words and you have to just obey blindly. Obey means yes, no words, no question, nothing. Because again, words come out from confusion, right? All the thoughts, all the ideas, all the assertions, negations, or assumptions, and all these things come from confusion, from nowhere, from confusion. This is what Buddha emphasizes, this is what Buddha exhorts, and we have to understand him. So Mahamati is also very enlightened, He's not like a simple ignorant mind.
His questions are so much logical actually.
Yeah, these questions themselves are enlightened.
And all these questions are in today's times are actually helping us, helping everybody else.
So this is relevant to the present moment also.
The relevant of
And this will be relevant in future also.
exactly.
Okay. So the questioner should be like Arjuna. The questioner should be like Mahamati. And the answer should be like Krishna, Buddha. And we must heed them. So Blessed One Buddha replied that, no Mahamati, my womb of Tathagathood is not the same as the divine Atma as taught by the philosophers. What I teach is Tathagathood in the sense of Dharmakaya, ultimate oneness, nirvana, emptiness, unbornness, unqualifiedness, devoid of will effort. Okay. So Buddha says, my Tathagathood is not the same as Atman. People say, realize Atma, Atma Sakshatkar. And people are so addicted to this word, Atma Sakshatkar. They don't know what is Atman and what is Atma Sakshatkar. So what in reality Atma is, that is imageless, egolessness, imagelessness, nothingness, emptiness, devoid of everything. Buddha says, my Tathagathood is Dharmakaya, the body of Dharma. Dharma, okay? Ultimate oneness. That is ultimate oneness. And Nirvana. That is Nirvana. And that is emptiness. Tathagathood and emptiness is nothing but similar, right? So if you want to become Tathagata, Tathata, that is emptiness, that is unbornness, that is unqualifiedness. There is no qualification. Unqualifiedness. that is devoid of will effort. There is no will, there is no effort. The reason why I teach the doctrine of the Tathagata is to cause the ignorant and simple-minded to lay aside their fears as they listen to the teaching of egolessness and come to understand the state of non-discrimination and imagelessness. Okay, so this teaching also to the people who are simple-minded, who are frightened, and my goal is to take them to that state. The religious teachings of the Tathagatas are just like a potter making various vessels by his own skill of hand with the aid of rod, water, and thread out of the one mass of clay. So the Tathagatas, by their command of skillful means issuing from noble wisdom, by various terms, expressions, and symbols, preach of the twofold egolessness in order to remove the last trace of discrimination. That is the last trace. We have to leave no trace. Again, I am telling you, we have to leave no trace. And what is the last trace? The last trace is the word, the image, the identity, everything. That is the last trace. And we have to discard all the last traces of discrimination that is preventing disciples from attaining self-realization of noble wisdom. That is preventing, that prevents. Buddha said the doctrine of the Tathagata womb is disclosed in order to awaken philosophers from their clinging to the notion of the divine mind, divine Atman, not mind, divine Atman, as transcendental personality, so that their minds that have become attached to the imaginary notion of soul, see, he says, imaginary notion of soul, as being something self-existent, may be quickly awakened to a state of perfect enlightenment. So you just imagine soul, but they all are imaginations. They in fact are not soul. So we have to wake up from that imaginations and awaken in a state of perfect enlightenment. All such notions as causation, succession, atoms, primary elements that make up personality, personal soul, supreme spirit, sovereign God, creator, are all figments of the imagination and manifestation of mind. So Buddha says, no Mahamati, the Tathagata's doctrine of the womb of the Tathagata is not the same as the philosopher's Atma. Okay. So Buddha says the Bodhisattva is said to have well grasped the teaching of the Tathagatas when all alone in a lonely place by means of his transcendental intelligence, he walks the path leading to nirvana. So through transcendental intelligence only you can go into nirvana. Yes. Otherwise you will remain just wandering. Thereon his mind will unfold by perceiving, thinking, meditating, and abiding in the practice of concentration until he attains the turning about at the source of habit energy. He will thereafter lead a life of excellent deeds. His mind, always concentrated on the state of Buddhahood, he will become thoroughly convergent with the noble truth of self-realization. He will become perfect master of his own mind. He will become like a gem radiating many colors. He will be able to assume bodies of transformation. He will be able to enter into the minds of all to help them. And finally, by gradually ascending the stages, he will become established in the perfect transcendental intelligence of the Tathagatas. Okay? So by reaching there, he will be well established. Remember my words. By treading this path, by obeying the instructions of Buddha, by honoring and treating and applying his teachings in our lives, we will gradually ascend these stages, different stages, and you will become established in the perfect transcendental intelligence of what? Of whom? The Tathagatas. And further he says, nevertheless, see, this is what I was telling you. Do you remember? Nevertheless, Transcendental intelligence or Arya is not noble wisdom, Ariprajya. Remember, I had told you in the beginning. So the noble wisdom, what you call Ariprajya, is not the transcendental intelligence. And transcendental intelligence is not the noble wisdom. Always remember. So he absolutely clarifies. See, all these things are very much clear in me. And I am very much conscious. I am very much mindful of this thing, this teaching. That is why I am telling you, I am more interested in teaching this thing because I love this. I live in that state. But I feel helpless. I don't enjoy, but yes, I have to teach to the people who are just addicted in these things. So I enjoy this state of mind, and I am willing to lead people to this state of mind. Therefore, yeah, I get excited when someone is interested in our 300 hours course. But I feel pity on them who do not do this thing.
Exactly, sir.
And that is why I teach this thing at the last, the Sutra at the last.
And sir,
Before this, I have taught you Bhagavad Gita, I have taught you Upanishad, I have taught you Hatha Yoga Pradipika, I have taught you Yoga Tattva Upanishad, or other things. But I have taken this at the end because this is the ultimate. There is nothing beyond it. Now, this is very thrilling, and I feel thrilled when I remember these words of Buddha. Buddha says, noble wisdom is a perfect state of imagelessness.
Okay.
It is the womb of suchness. It is the all-conserving divine mind, alive with Jnana, which in its pure essence forever abides in perfect patience and undisturbed tranquility. Okay, so Ariprajya is beyond transcendental intelligence. That is the perfect state of imagelessness. And you must meditate on this word whenever you get time. What is imagelessness? What Sir spoke about imagelessness? I have to understand this. I have to feel that. Just meditate on imagelessness word and you will be there.
So it is like that whatever images that you are seeing in your mind, actually you don't have to just think about it, and it will just keep on passing and passing and passing, and you will enter into a stage of imagelessness automatically at that time.
Yes, let them go.
Let them go, let them pass.
Let go, let go. So let go is the one of major practices in mindfulness or meditation. People don't understand its significance. Let go. The simple, poor two words. Let go. You have to just practice these two words, and you'll become rich, super rich in your meditation. This is very interesting, isn't it? And further section is self-realization. Mahamati asks, pray tell us, bless one, what is the nature of self-realization, by reason of which we shall be able to attain transcendental intelligence? Now he asks, what is the method of transcendental intelligence? So we have understood transcendental intelligence, how significant is this, but how to gain this? He has asked. How to self-realize this? Not intellectually, but vitally. I have to feel that. You have to be there, being. Being is more important than just thinking. Yeah, you think of Himalayas, but you are not there. How can you feel the aroma of that place? How can you feel the energy of that place? Being is more important than thinking. So you don't have to just understand on thinking plane, but on being plane.
Actually, what images mostly came in the mind of the beginners, they see memories.
Yes.
Okay. So they live in past. Actually.
Exactly.
They are not in a state of in present.
Yeah.
And they have to be here.
Yes.
Where their mind is going.
Yeah. This is what's called mindfulness. Okay. And therefore, I love mindfulness meditation more than any kind of meditation. And therefore, if you ask honestly, sir, what kind of course of meditation I should do, then if I'll tell immediately meditation or mindfulness, you may not digest that, but mindfulness is the ultimate thing. And you see that What is mindfulness? Mindfulness is being here, discarding past, discarding future, discarding hurries, worries, practicing let go. And when you practice let go, you are there. Where? In imagelessness. That is advanced. So Buddha says, transcendental intelligence rises when the intellectual mind reaches to its limit. Okay, so so-called intellectual people are just wandering. They are wanderers in illusions. They are not in transcendental intelligence. Buddha says you can experience that transcendental intelligence when your intellectual mind will reach to its limit. When you will overcome your intellectual mind. And intellectual mind is very calculative. It calculates the benefits and the harms or the advantages or disadvantages. These are the activities of intellectual mind. So long you have this kind of mind, you cannot be in transcendental intelligence. If things are to be realized in their true and essence nature, its process of mentation, which are based on particular ideas, discrimination, and judgments, must be transcended by an appeal to some higher faculty of cognition. And if there is such a higher faculty, okay, Buddha says, so intellectual mind should reach to the higher faculty, if there is such a thing. And Buddha says, yes, there is such a faculty in intuitive mind only, which, as we have seen in the link between the intellectual mind and universal mind. Is clear?
Yes. It's clear.
Yes. So intuitive mind is the bridge between universal mind and intellectual mind. So things are getting clearer, right? He says, what I say higher faculty, if there is such higher faculty, that is nothing but intuitive mind, which is called manas, which, as we have seen the link between these two, intellectual mind and universal mind, while it is not an individualized organ like the intellectual mind, it has that which is much better, direct dependence upon universal mind. So intellectual mind depends on what? Universal mind. Further, he says, while intuition does not give information that can be analyzed and discriminated, it gives that which is far superior. And that is what? Self-realization through identification. How to reach self-realization? Through identification.
Right.
Identification, identification, identification. If you remember in Diamond Sutra, Buddha has told, do you remember his words? It is by the truth, it is by identifying with emptiness. Remember in Dhyana Paramita? By the identification with emptiness, you can realize the emptiness. So, self-realization through identification. You have to identify which what with that noble wisdom. We have to unidentify with lower mind system, intellectual mind. And don't keep any relation to intellectual mind. No relation, no respect, nothing, no attention to intellectual mind. And then, therefore, we will have to be very strict to pay no attention to intellectual people. And they may feel disgraced, they may feel insult, hurt, but you cannot help. Either you will have to gratify those people or you have to gratify Buddhas. This is up to you, whom you choose. But here, you will need to be, expert in management. You'll have to manage them by being practical, by being, some kind of diplomacy. So Krishna was the greatest diplomacy of dharma. Buddha was the greatest diplomat of dharma. Greatest diplomat of dharma. How to manage the intellectual people, he knew very well. Sometimes he had to be very hard, very harsh, sometimes very strict, sometimes very like mother figure, like father figure. Because they are ignorant. They don't know what is right for them, what is wrong for them. They have very, uh, obsession, obsessive mind. And the same thing, what? Samskara, habit energy, mental habit. And getting rid of the samskara is very, very challenging. Okay. So Mahamati then asked to the Blessed One, they tell us, Blessed One, what clear understanding an earnest disciple should have if he is to be successful in the discipline that leads to self-realization. See, discipline, discipline, discipline. When I say, hey, discipline is the first thing of yoga, people don't pay attention to this. Even Patanjali also say, Ath Yoga Anushasana, now discipline of yoga. And Buddha also says, discipline. And Mahamati clearly understands that discipline. That is why he praying Buddha, hey, sir, please tell me how to be successful in the discipline that leads to self-realization. So you cannot go to self-realization without discipline. Now he says, there is different kind of discipline. And when you practice discipline, you're a disciple. Disciple is made of disciplines, right? Buddha says there are 4 things by the fulfilling of which an earnest disciple may gain self-realization of noble wisdom and become a bodhisattva, mahasattva. First, he must have clear understanding that all things are only manifestations of the mind itself. Second, he must discard the notion of birth, abiding, and disappearance. Third, he must clearly understand the egolessness of both things and persons. And fourth, he must have a true conception of what constitutes self-realization of noble wisdom. So if you really want to be a disciple, and if you want to understand discipline that leads to self-realization, then there are these 4 disciplines. Firstly, you have to understand that all things are only manifestation of mind, projection of mind, born of mind, but not reality. Born of, when I say born of mind, or when Buddha said born of mind, means there is illusion, like mirage. Mirage is an illusion of deer's mind, right? Similarly, everything is illusion. Even our bodies are also illusion. And when we awaken from this illusion, then we get rid of the body and all the relations with the body. Okay, but again, this is not easy task. But here, this is possible by practicing discipline, by developing discipline. So develop discipline, practice discipline, become so much disciplined that when you are unconscious, you are there. So first, that I should be very clear that everything is manifestation of mind or mental projection. Second, I must discard the notion of birth, abiding, disappearance. There is no birth, there is no abiding, there is no death. Whatever is born is just what you call samskara, our karma. And karma is also illusion, right? This is the reality of karma. And when you awaken in that reality, then you burn all the karma, prarabdha karma, sanchit karma, kriyaman karma. Even you get rid of kriyaman karma, you get rid of all the karmas. You go beyond the reach of karma also. That is yet to come, and then that will be very much clear to you how you go and where you go, right? And not after death, but right now, right here, while you are living, you have to be there. So second thing, you have to discard this notion that there's birth and death. Third, you have to clearly understand the egolessness of both, of things and persons. Everything is egoless. Every person is egoless. And if he or she has ego, that means he's utter fool, utter silly, utter stupid, ridicule. Okay. What if I have ego? If I have ego of knowledge, if I have ego of money, if I have ego of power, if I have ego of my beauty, if I have ego of anything, I'm absolutely full. So we don't have to allow to have any trace of ego. And this we have to discipline ourselves. We have to be always vigilant. We have to be always on guard of our mind if any intruder of ego either enters or arises from within. The moment you are so vigilant, you are so quick, so powerful, the moment you find, you just kill that, just root that out.
It will be also a moment of self-realization that ego is coming in us.
Yes, yes.
And we
If you spot, that means you are wakeful.
Yes.
Okay. Although you are very powerful force, but you are sleeping, and intruder enters. So being powerful is not enough, but being wakeful is also important. Being mindful is also important. That is why mindfulness. And fourth, Buddha says, also you must have a true conception of what constitutes self-realization of noble wisdom. Okay. Provided with these four understandings, earnest disciples, see, note this word, earnest disciples, not simply disciples, but earnest disciples. So if you provide these four understanding, if you have this four understanding, you will become bodhisattvas and attain transcendental intelligence. Clear? How thrilling is this?
Sir, very thrilling.
Yeah. And now Buddha was so brilliant, super brilliant. He was so clear. He used to clarify everything in detail, not just glimpse. Clarify with words, with his clarity, because he was so utmost clarity in his mind. He could enlighten everything very clearly. Now he clarifies every point very clearly. See, he was not just only enlightened, but he was the greatest learned one also, greatest scholar also. He was greatest warrior, greatest scholar, greatest, everything he was greatest. And anyone can become like him who understands this and who lives this, who becomes this. He said, as for the first, he must recognize and be fully convinced that this triple world, what triple world? Triple world is called Bhu, Bhuva, Swa. There are three words. Bhu, Bhuva, Swa. Bhu is this earth world, Bhuva, the space, and Swa, the heaven. Buddha says, in all this triple world, there is nothing but a complex manifestation of one's mental activities. So the heaven is also a mental manifestation, a mental concept, a mental projection, heaven.
Swa means space.
Swa means Swargalok, Swarg, Swa, Swarg. Bhu means this, Bhuva means Antariksh. So our Vedas says there are three words, Bhu, Bhuva, Swa. There are three Vedas, Rig Ved, Yajur Ved, Samved. There are three planes. Okay, Vak, Pran, and Manas. So three. So three words are very auspicious, right? Very significant. Three. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, Trinity. And you will find frequently Buddha emphasize on three words, three things. So he says, all this triple world is nothing but a complex manifestation of one's mental activities, and that it is devoid of selfness and its belongings, that there is no striving, no comings, no goings. Okay, no striving, no coming, no going. He says he must recognize and accept the fact that this triple world is manifesting and imagined as real only under the influence of habit energy that has been accumulated since the beginningless past by reason of memory, false imagination, false reasoning, and attachments to the multiplicities of objects and reactions in close relationship and in conformity to ideas of body property and abode. Okay, so he says it is because of our memory, memory, samskara, samskara, because samskara is more inner than memory. You have forgotten that in the past who you were, but your instincts are still there because your instincts are called samskaras. You have forgotten because in past life you may be a lion, you may be a prostitute, you may be a king, or you may be a poor man, or you may be this or that. In the present life, you are not the same what you were in the past, but the instincts are same because you had some good instincts, good virtues. We have become a noble one, but there are some instincts which still we have to overcome in this life. Otherwise, again, we'll have to take birth. And even you overcome all the negative instincts, you become bodhisattvas. You can be voluntarily available, or you can think that I can come again for the people, for the sake of people, to enlighten them. So you take that task upon you, was, and then you reach there. Okay, Buddha says we have to overcome our memories, false imaginations, false reasoning, attachments to multiplicities of world and body property and about everything. This is the first thing. Okay. Second thing, Buddha says, as to the second, he must recognize and be convinced that all things are to be regarded as forms seen in a vision, in a dream, empty of substance, unborn, and without self-nature. That all things exist only by reason of our complicated network of causation, and with all its rise to discrimination and attachment, and which eventuates in the rise of the mind system and its belongings and in evolvements. This is the second thing. Okay. First thing, he has said that everything is mental manifestation. Second, there is no birth and death. No birth, abiding, and disappearance, death. And third, he says, clearly understanding of egolessness of both things and people. So Buddha says, as to the third, he must recognize and presently accept the fact that his own mind and personality is also mind constructed, that it is empty of substance, unborn, and egoless. With these three things clearly in mind, the Bodhisattva will be able to enter into the truth of imagelessness. Got it? So if these three things you are disciplining yourself into, then you will become Bodhisattva and you will enter into the truth of imagelessness. Okay? Only these three things. And fourth is true conception of the constitutions of self-realizations, or they which constitute self-realization of noble wisdom. So here Buddha says, first, it is not comparable to the perceptions attained by the sense mind, neither is it comparable to the cognition of discriminating and intellectual mind. Both of these presuppose a difference between self and not self, and the knowledge so attained is characterized by individuality and generality. Self-realization is based on identity and oneness. See, remember? Self-realization is based on identity and oneness. Third time I'm telling you. Self-realization is based on identity and oneness. There is no other way for self-realization. We have to identify with that. If you want to realize, self-realize the imagelessness, then you'll have to identify with that. But this starts with identification, negation, assertion and negation, affirmation and negation. You negate, I'm not body, I'm not mind, I'm not this, I'm not this, I'm not word, I don't belong to these words. You say no, 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 no. And when you say no, then you are there. You have to say no to everything.
Because
Um,
it will help us to enter the state of nothingness.
Nothingness, exactly. And this is how you will identify with nothingness, by saying no. But you'll have to dare to say no.
Yes.
People are very shy. People are very, frightened. How I'll say no? People will misunderstand me. People will mind. Then will be absolutely anti-social, anti-society. I'll be absolutely aloof. So, because of some reasons, if you say yes to them, but from inmost in your deepest layer of consciousness, that is no from you. So sometimes you'll have to be very dualistic to manage them. This is what is called diplomacy. Sometimes you have to be diplomat. From our side, you have to say yes, okay, but from inmost, very strongly say no, no, no. But when you become completely recluse, then you can dare to say no to everyone. But not rudely, but with humbleness. Humbly. Sorry. Just say sorry. That's it. Buddha says, so you have to just realize that with identification. Okay. And oneness. There's nothing to be discriminated nor predicated concerning it. But to enter into the bodhisattva must be free from all presuppositions and attachments to things, ideas, and selfness. Do you remember my words? Selfness. So long you have attachment to selfness, there's no way. You are in foolishness. You are in confusion. You are in blurriness, dizziness. You are in false imagination. You are on wrong path. So attachment to things, ideas, and selfness. You have to get rid of. That is why disciple becomes absolutely lost into the master's feet. This is Indian philosophy. Why Shishya say, okay, sir, he or she submits to the guru because he is no more than. Whatever remains Buddha. And who is Buddha? Buddha is already gone. Buddha is already gone. That's why he is Buddha. Otherwise, he is not Buddha. To submit to Buddha means to submit to nothingness, to submit to emptiness, to submit to someone who is absolutely selfless. So, and Buddha also is not attached to any ideas, any thought, any selfness. So Buddha was a living example of that. He had all the facilities, but he said no. He had beautiful wife. He had beautiful, handsome kid, boy. He had benevolent father, mother, caretakers. But he humbly said so. Okay. So he was an example of what? Someone who has transcended things, ideas, and selfishness. Further, Mahamati asked to Blessed One, pray tell us, Blessed One, concerning the characteristic of deep attachments to existence and as to how we may become detached from existence. Okay. So when you say attachment, then you'll have to understand what is attachment. If you remember, I had once talked about 10 fetters. Do you remember? 10 fetters? Meghna, do you remember that? 10 fetters?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Do you remember the 10 fetters?
Sir, it was in the Buddha 500 BC book.
Yes. 10 fetters.
Yes, sir.
First was self-illusion. Then second was skepticism. Okay. Then attachments to rules and rituals. Then anger. Then sensual lust. Okay. Craving for the world of pure form. Craving for the world of formless world. conceit, restlessness, and avidya, ignorance. Okay, so these were the fetters, and without overcoming the fetters, we cannot reach to that state. And attachment, craving for the existence is also a craving. We have to get rid of existence, attachment and detachment to existence. He says deep attachments. Then Buddha replies, when one tries to understand the significance of things by means of words and discriminations, there follow immeasurably deep-seated attachment to existence. For instance, there are deep-seated attachment to science of individuality, to causation, to the notion of being and non-being, to the discrimination of birth and death, of doing and not doing, to the habit of discrimination itself, upon which the philosophers are so dependent. Okay, so the attachment arises from these things: being and non-being, notion of being and non-being, individuality, cause and effect, discrimination of birth and death, discrimination of doing and non-doing, the habit of discrimination. So these are all the faults which are found in philosophers and in ignorance. Not only in ignorance, even in the philosophers also, they are found. Okay, and there are three attachments that are especially deep-seated in the minds of all: greed, anger, and infatuation. Infatuation means delusion. See, Buddha says there are three attachments. They are especially deep-seated. What you call abhinivesh, abhinivesh in yoga. Okay, avidya, asmita, rag, dvesh, abhinivesh. These are 5 kleshas. Abhinivesh is this, deep-seated in the mind. What? Greed, anger, and delusion. And these are based on lust, fear, and pride. So greed is based on lust. Anger is based on fear. And delusion is based on pride. So whenever you have anger, immediately understand that you have fear somewhere. So only frightened people get angry. Anger means fear somewhere in deep-rooted, deep layer of your mind. You can examine. When you are angry, just try to investigate. What is the root of anger? You'll find that is fear. Okay, if you have greed, then just understand that you have lust. Lust of name, lust of fame, lust of money, lust of this and that. That is why you greed. Whenever you have delusion, understand you have pride. So by overcoming lust, fear, and pride, you can overcome greed, anger, and delusion. And see, back of these three lies discrimination and desire, which is procreative and is accompanied with excitement and avariciousness and love of comfort and desire for eternal life. And following is a succession of rebirths on the 5 paths of existence and the continuation of attachments. Understood? Succession of birth and death lies on the love of comfort and desire. You love comfort, you love desire, you cherish the desire for eternal life. You want to become eternal. You don't want to die. But to become eternal is the only way to get rid of them. Okay. And that is the root cause of attachment. The Buddha says, Mahamati, you and all the bodhisattvas should have your abode where you can see all things from the viewpoint of solitude. Viewpoint, note this word, viewpoint of solitude. Underline this word, highlight this word, these words, viewpoint of solitude. So you have to abode, we have to have abode where from there we see everything as solitude. What is the viewpoint? Solitude.
So we can also say that this is the self-realization.
Yes. So you have to be there. Where? Solitude. Solitude, emptiness, egolessness, imagelessness, these are different words, but the same state of being. So you have to reach that state of being. Become there, be there, live there, dwell there, abide there. Mahamati, when you and other bodhisattvas understand well the distinction between attachment and detachment, you will be in possession of skillful means for avoiding becoming attached to words, according to which one proceeds to grasp meanings. Free from the domination of words, you will be able to establish yourselves where there will be a turning about in the deepest seat of consciousness, by means of which you will attain self-realization of noble wisdom and be able to enter into all the Buddha lands and assemblies. There you will be stamped with the stamp of the powers, self-command, the psychic faculties, and will be endowed with the wisdom and the power of 10 inexhaustible vows, and will become radiant with the variegated rays of the transformation bodies. See, this is becoming super healer, right?
Yes. This is becoming spiritual.
Therewith you will shine without effort like the moon, the sun, the magic wishing jewel, and at every stage will view this as being of perfect oneness with yourself, uncontaminated by any of self-consciousness. Underline this word. Self-consciousness contaminates you. Okay? Self-consciousness contaminates you. Individuation, self-consciousness, selfishness, that is contamination, that contaminates yourself. And so long you have that, you cannot be there. Where? In the world of Buddhas. And when you are there, you will shine like moon, like sun, like magic wishing jewel. Thus says, seeing that all things are like a dream. See again, remind my words. Seeing that all things are like a dream, you will be able to enter into the stage of the Tathagatas and be able to deliver discourses on the Dharma to the world of beings in accordance with their needs and be able to free them from all dualistic notions and false discriminations. So first you reach there, then you will endeavor to take other people to there, to the state. Okay, so first you will have to understand, right? So you will get the stamp of by Buddhas, the certificate, that is the real certificate, not the piece of paper. Although I give you the certificate, there is no real certificate.
Yes.
Okay.
Now we understand, sir.
Yeah, just to serve the purpose of the world, because you say, sir, I have to submit the certificate to somewhere, I'm forced to give. Otherwise, I don't give the certificate because you don't deserve that. But yes, just understand that there is a piece of paper, but not the being. So the real certificate is your being. Okay, you are there, then in fact, you don't need any certificate. Mahamati, there are two ways of considering self-realization, namely the teachings about it and the realization itself. The teachings as variously given in the 9 divisions of the doctrinal works for the instructions of those who are inclined toward it by making use of skillful means and expedients are intended to awaken in all beings a true conception of the Dharma. That is why teaching, okay? So that you have clarity. The teachings are designed to keep one away from all the dualistic notion of being and non-being and oneness and otherness. So teaching's purpose is just to take you away from dualistic views. So that is first thing. Second is realization itself. And that is within the inner consciousness. Inner consciousness. So realization takes place where? In your inmost consciousness. You don't need to go in the Himalayas, in the caves.
Exactly, sir.
You cannot get realization in the Himalayas if your inner consciousness is not cleaned, is not enlightened.
If you are practicing being,
Being is just there, and you can be right now, right here.
Right now, right here, we are over there.
You are there. Okay, so that is realized, and you can realize right in the crowd. It is an inner experience that has no connection with the lower mind system and its discriminations of words, ideas, and philosophical speculations. It shines out with its own clear light to reveal the error and the foolishness of mind constructed teachings. See, Buddha says it is so shining that its light will reveal the error and foolishness of the philosophers of mind constructed teachings, to render important evil influences from without and to guide one unerringly. Note this word, unerringly. I often use this word, but I use only when people understand the meaning this word of the word. Unerringly to the realm of the good non-outflowings. Again, good non-outflowings. The realm of good non-outflowings. Mahamati, when the earnest disciple and bodhisattva is provided with these requirements, the way is open to his perfect attainment of self-realization of noble wisdom and to the full enjoyment of the fruits that arise therefrom. Okay? The earnest disciple and bodhisattva, when is provided with these requirements, the way will be open to perfect attainment of self-realization of noble wisdom. And you will enjoy all the fruits, all the vibhutis, what you call vibhutis of enlightenment, of being there. What you call yoga. Yoga is being there. Yoga means being there, right? Swarup avasthanam. What that is your real swarup. You identify to that your real form, real self. Okay. Pray tell us, blessed one, about the one vehicle, which is the blessed one has said characterizes the attainment of the inner self-realization of noble wisdom. See, this is the one single vehicle. Buddha replies, in order to discard more easily discrimination and erroneous reasoning, the Bodhisattva should retire by himself to a quiet, secluded place where he may reflect within himself without relying on anyone else, and there let him exert himself to make successive advances along the stages. This solitude is the characteristic feature of the inner attainment of self-realization of noble wisdom. Okay, so this is one vehicle. Okay, so Buddha talks about the single vehicle or one vehicle. He calls this the solitude as one vehicle, not because it is the one vehicle, but because it is only in solitude that one is able to recognize and realize the path of the one vehicle. So long as mind is distracted and is making conscious effort, there can be no culmination as regards the various vehicles. It is only when the mind is alone and quiet that it is able to forsake the discriminations of external world and seek realization of inner realm where there is neither vehicle nor one who rides on it. See, Buddha says, there is neither vehicle nor one who rides in it. He says, I speak of the three vehicles in order to carry the ignorant. I do not speak much about the one vehicle because there is no way by which earnest disciples and masters can realize nirvana unaided. According to the discourses of the Thagatas, earnest disciples should be segregated and disciplined and trained in meditation and dhyana, whereby they are aided by many devices and expedients to realize emancipation. It is because earnest disciples and masters have not fully destroyed the habit energy of karma and the hindrances of discriminating knowledge and human passion, that they are often unable to accept the twofold egolessness and the inconceivable transformation death. Remember this term, inconceivable transformation death. This will come again later on. So Buddha says, because earnest disciples and masters, they have not fully destroyed the habit energy and karma, the habit energy of karma. and hindrances of discriminating knowledge and human passion. Who? Earnest disciples and masters. And he says that I preach the triple vehicle and not the one vehicle. When earnest disciples have gotten rid of all their evil habit energy and been able to realize the twofold egolessness. See, twofold egolessness. What is twofold egolessness? Egolessness of
Egolessness of things and persons.
persons, yes. Egolessness of things and persons. Then they will not be intoxicated by the bliss of the samadhis. Okay. So when earnest disciples get rid of all their evil habit energy and being able to realize the twofold egolessness, then there is no need to be in samadhis. Then you'll not be intoxicated by the bliss of samadhis and will be awakened into the super realm of the good non-outflowings. So when you are there in super realm, you don't need samadhis, but you go beyond samadhis.
It means that we have transcended samadhi as
Also, yes. That is super realm.
that is
And super realm of what? Good non-outflowing. Being awakened into the realm of the good non-outflowings, they'll be able to gather up all the requisites for the attainment of noble wisdom, which is beyond conception and is of sovereign power. But really, Mahamati, there are no vehicles. And so I speak of the one vehicle. In fact, there is no vehicle, right? There is no vehicle and there is no one to ride. However, he just speaks for the ignorant. Always remember, in reality, there is no vehicle and there is no one to ride on this. But he speaks, that is just for ignorant people. Mahamati, the full recognition of the one vehicle has never been attained by either earnest disciples, masters, or even by the great Brahma. It has been attained only by the Tathagatas themselves. See, Buddha challenges to Brahma also.
yes.
Okay. It says even the gods are also not there. And gods have also not attended this one vehicle that is free from vehicles. It has been attended only by the Tathagatas themselves. That is the reason that it is known as the one vehicle. I do not speak much about it because there is no way by which earnest disciples can realize nirvana unadded. Clear?
Yes.
Now, Mahamati asked to bless one, saying, what are the steps that will lead an awakened disciple toward the self-realization of noble wisdom? Then Buddha replies, the beginning lies in the recognition that external world is only a manifestation of the activities of the mind itself, and that the mind grasps it as an external world simply because of its habit of discrimination and false reasonings. Habit of discrimination means samskara, bad samskaras. The disciple must get into the habit of looking at things truthfully. So this is a new samskara. So you have to overcome the bad samskara with good samskara, and this is good samskara of looking at things truthfully. He must recognize the fact that the world has no self-nature, that it is unborn, that it is like a passing cloud, like an imaginary wheel made by a revolving firebrand, like the castle of the Gandharvas, like the moon reflected in the ocean, like a vision, a mirage, a dream. He must come to understand that mind in its essence nature has nothing to do with discrimination nor causation. He must not listen to discourses based on the imaginary terms of qualifications. See, he says he must not listen to discourses. But people listen so many false discourses.
That he is a qualified one and he has so many qualifications in his life.
Yeah,
Listen to them.
people are impressed with their discourses, eloquences, but discourses take nowhere because they are based on the imaginary terms of qualifications. You must understand that universal mind in its pure essence is a state of imagelessness. Now see this. I again telling you the inherent nature of universal mind, or the pure essence of universal mind, is imagelessness. What you call noble wisdom, Ariprajya. Ariprajya and noble wisdom and imagelessness and emptiness is universal mind. In other words, that it is only because of the accumulated defilements on its face that body, property, and abode appear to be its manifestations, that in its own pure nature it is unaffected and unaffecting by such changes as rising, avoiding, and destruction. So that universal mind is unaffected, like a space. Although a space contains everything, but is unaffected. So also the universal mind, although is the genesis, is the substratum, but that is unaffected by any changes like rising, avoiding, and destruction, or birth, abiding, and death. He must fully understand that all these things come with the awakening of the notion of an ego soul and its conscious mind. Therefore, Mahamati, let those disciples who wish to realize noble wisdom by following the Tathagata vehicle desist from all discrimination and erroneous reasonings about such notions as the elements that make up the aggregates of personality and its sense world, or about such ideas as causation, rising, abiding, and destruction, and exercise themselves in the discipline of dhyana that leads to the realization of our wisdom. Clear? See, this teaching had come in Diamond Sutra. Everything is like dream, mirage, vision, passing cloud. Remember? Yeah. So when I say the five aggregates of personality or being, they are also just illusion. And they also, we believe, because of our samskara. Okay? And we have to exercise dhyana. What kind of dhyana? This comes further, which leads to self-realization of noble wisdom. So to practice dhyana, the earnest disciples should retire to a quiet and solitary place, remembering that lifelong habits of discriminative thinking cannot be broken off easily nor quickly. See, remembering the lifelong habits cannot be broken off easily nor quickly. This takes time because you have habits of many lifetimes, and to get rid, you'll have to be with masters, with Buddhas, or with enlightened ones. Further, Buddha says there are four kinds of concentrative meditation dhyana. First is dhyana practiced by the ignorant, dhyana devoted to the examination of meaning, dhyana with suchness, tathata, for its object, and fourth, dhyana of the Tathagata itself. There are four kinds of dhyanas, okay? First dhyana is practiced by ignorant. That is the one resorted to by those who are following the example of the disciples and masters, but who do not understand its purpose, and therefore it becomes still sitting and vacant minds. This dhyana is practiced also by those who, despising the body, see it as a shadow and a skeleton full of suffering and impurity, and yet who cling to the notion of an ego, seek to attain emancipation by the mere cessation of thought. That is dhyana of ignorant. Okay, resorting oneself into solitude and still sitting, vacant mind, is dhyana, but of ignorant. Second, better dhyana is devoted to the examination of meaning. Is the one practiced by those who, perceiving the undeniability, defenseless, being such that defense or maintenance is impossible, called undeniability, of such ideas as self, others, and both, which are held by the philosophers and who have passed beyond the twofold egolessness. Devote dhyana to an examination of the significance of egolessness and the differentiations of the Bodhisattva stages. So when you meditate to understand the egolessness or such things, when you think, that is second level. Beginners and more advanced than beginners, or intermediate, or the lower intermediate. Okay. And the third dhyana is called the intermediate, actually, is dhyana with tathata or suchness. or oneness or divine name for its object, it is practiced by those earnest disciples and masters who, while fully recognizing the twofold egolessness and the imagelessness of the Tathata, yet cling to the notion of the ultimate Tathata. There was still some view that there is ultimate Tathata. There is one Tathata and there is ultimate Tathata. They are also not fully enlightened. That is intermediate. And advanced is the dhyana of the Tathagatas. And that dhyana or meditation is the dhyana of those who are entering upon the stage of Tathagathood and who, abiding in the triple bliss, which characterizes the self-realization of noble wisdom, are devoting themselves for the sake of all beings to the accomplishment of incomprehensible works for their emancipation. This is the pure dhyana of the Tathagatas. Okay. So what is the dhyana of Tathagatas? What is super dhyana? Super dhyana is, in that dhyana you think of others for their emancipation. Oh, may the entire world get rid of the sufferings. You don't think of yourself, you don't think of God, you don't think of enlightenment, you don't think of Tathata, you don't think of mantra, you don't think of anything. But you think of the others, suffering people. Actually, because of their ignorance, they're ignorant people. So you have compassion for ignorant. When you think for them and you plan something for them, that is the ultimate thing.
This is what you are practicing.
Now you got my point. And why I say people join my hand. Because this is the ultimate thing. This is not my hand, this is Buddha's hands. Where all of us have to come together. All of us have to be together. And see, that is why I see. Further Buddha says, this is the pure dhyana of Tathagatas, when all lesser things and ideas are transcended and forgotten. Even your own needs are forgotten. You are hungry, but you have forgotten they are hunger. You don't have penny in your pocket, but you have forgotten. And you are thinking of others. Okay? And there remains only a perfect state of imagelessness. And when you are there, then you are there. Where? Perfect imagelessness. Where Tathagata and Tathata are merged into perfect oneness. Everything becomes one. When you think only for others, not for yourself. You don't think even for a second for yourself. You always think for others. You always work for that trust, for that selfless works. Then the Buddhas will come together from all the Buddha lands and with shining hands resting on his forehead will welcome a new Tathagata. Then he becomes Tathagata. Got it? That is where you have to be. When they come and feel happy and welcome you, hey, come, welcome you as in the world of teachers, true teachers, the qualified teachers, or the torchbearer, the flag bearer of this ultimate truth, the Tathata. So this is dhyana of Tathagatas. This is supreme dhyana, but people will believe in that because they want to get rid of anxiety. When I say meditate on this, they don't want to leave their memories, their own selves. Therefore, even they cannot practice the first meditation, the meditation of ignorant also. Or, in other words, they practice the meditation of ignorant. But I'm helpless. I have to teach the meditation for the ignorant. So this is up to you where you want to be. In the super state, on the lower state. And you can't complain, you can't give excuse that, sir, I cannot afford that. I don't qualify for that. This is just an excuse. Everyone can be there. If one really wants to be there, sincerely and honestly. Okay, so that was the self-realization.